You ever notice how a song gets stuck in your head, even when you hate it? You didn't choose it, you didn't hit replay, but it's looping anyway. That's not music, that's programming, and it doesn't stop with your playlist. Think about TikTok, where the same 10-second soundbite hijacks millions of brains overnight. You don't even have to like it. The repetition is enough to bend your mood, shape your thoughts, and steer your day without asking for permission. That's the mental universe in action. Your mind, hijacked by loops, choruses, hashtags, highlight reels. They aren't entertainment, they're commands. The scary part, your subconscious doesn't care if it's true. It only cares that it's repeated. And once repeated, it becomes reality. So when you wake up, check your feed, and instantly feel anxious or behind before the day even starts. Understand this, you weren't inspired, you were programmed. And if you think you're immune, ask yourself why you suddenly want those sneakers you never cared about, why you repeat celebrity drama like gospel, why you know the lyrics to songs you didn't even add to your playlist. None of that is random, it's designed. And it's the first crack in the lie you were born into. Because reality itself works the same way. It's a loop, one you didn't write. And the real question is, if your mind is just a playlist on repeat, who's the DJ really running your life? Here's the truth nobody tells you. Your mind works like a playlist, but most of the tracks on it, you didn't pick. Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself repeating a line from a song you don't even like? Or quoting a meme you didn't even laugh at? That's because repetition isn't just catchy, it's control. The ads you see on YouTube, the breaking news, headlines that hit like jump scares. The same 5 talking points recycled across every channel. They aren't background noise, they're hooks. Hooks designed to crawl into your subconscious and loop on repeat. And once a track makes it onto your mental playlist, it doesn't just sit there quietly. It starts shaping what you believe is real, what you think you deserve, what you think is even possible. So when you hear people say, life is just the way it is, understand, they're not describing reality. They're just stuck on a track someone else pressed play on. And here's the scary part. Most people will live their entire lives without ever asking if the playlist was theirs to begin with. Ever been at a concert when the whole crowd screams the same lyric at the same time? You feel that charge in the air? That shiver in your chest? That's the shared mind. One chorus, thousands of people, same frequency, same emotion, same thought, at the same time. That's not just music, that's proof. Proof that your mind isn't just yours, it's connected. And here's where it gets raw. Period. If a crowd at a concert can be moved with one lyric, imagine what a billion people scrolling the same feed at the same time does. Trends, challenges, outrage cycles. It's the same formula, just a different stage. And while you think you're choosing what to watch, the algorithm is the DJ. And the DJ doesn't care about your freedom. The DJ cares about keeping you on the floor, moving to a beat you didn't make. That's how propaganda works. That's how marketing works. That's how entire societies get hypnotized without ever knowing they're dancing. And the dangerous question nobody wants to ask is this: if we're all singing along to the same track, whose song are we really performing? Okay, let's keep cooking. Here's the thing about the playlist. Not every track uses sound. Some use symbols, logos, brand names. That pyramid with the eye on your dollar bill. You think they're decorations? Nah, they're hooks. Hooks for the subconscious. Because your conscious mind might forget what you saw, but your subconscious never does. That's why companies spend billions to slap a logo on everything. That's why religions built entire cathedrals around a single shape. That's why ancient Egypt carved eyes and ankhs into stone. The ancients knew something we forgot. Symbols bypass logic. They don't argue, they embed. And once embedded, they loop. Just like a chorus. Take the cross. Take the crescent moon. Take the checkerboard floors in Masonic lodges. These aren't random designs. They're passwords to the subconscious. And when enough people believe in the symbol, when enough people give it energy, that belief becomes reality. That's not faith, that's programming. Here's the part most people can't handle. Your subconscious is God, not a man in the clouds, not a statue in a temple, but the silent engine inside your own head. Say the same thing enough times. I'm cursed, I'm broke, I'll never win. And the subconscious says, bet. Done. Because it doesn't debate, it just obeys. That's why rituals mattered so much to ancient societies. Chants, repetition, sacred geometry. They weren't superstitions. They were mental loops, early versions of programming language. Freemasons called themselves builders, not because they stacked bricks, but because they built realities with symbols. Priests guarded scriptures, not because the stories were cute, but because they encoded laws of the mind in allegory. And here's the raw truth. You've been living in a reality built by other people's subconscious programming. Your parents, your teachers, your preachers, your governments. They chose the songs. They chose the symbols. They wrote the script your mind calls life. And the only way out is to remember you are both the listener and the DJ. But to do that, you have to learn how to stop dancing to their track. Here's the game they don't want you to see. The goal isn't freedom. The goal is a hive mind. One government, one religion, one algorithm deciding what you see, what you buy, what you believe. Sound like conspiracy? Look around. Wars are breaking out like wildfire across the globe. And the stories you're fed about them, they don't come from truth. They come from whoever controls the narrative. One side calls it defense. The other side calls it liberation. But for you, watching on a glowing screen thousands of miles away, it doesn't matter. Because the war is already in your head. Then there's AI. Everyone thought it would save time, make life easier. Instead, it's rewriting reality in real time. Deepfakes so sharp, you can't tell if it's real. Articles written by machines, not people. And an army of bots are spamming your feed, flooding the internet until the truth drowns under noise. You ever notice how hard it is now to know if what you're seeing is real? That's not a glitch. That's the hive mind breaking the internet itself. And in politics, you see it too. Take Trump. Love him or hate him, he's a master at hacking the collective mind. Every blunt tweet, every abrasive stance, it isn't random. It's a loop, a slogan, a headline that forces people to react, argue, repost. It doesn't matter if you agree or despise him. The fact you can't ignore him means he already won. Because in a hive mind world, attention is controlled. And right now, the people who own your attention own your reality. Wars, AI, bots, politicians, different fronts, same war. The war for your perception. So how do you escape the hive? How do you survive the noise, the bots, the wars, the politics? Here's the truth nobody will hand you. You don't fight the hive by wrestling it. You fight it by starving it. And the only way to starve it is to reclaim the one thing they can't steal, your mind. Because thoughts aren't just thoughts, they're frequencies. And the frequency you live on decides the life you experience. Think about your block. Two kids grow up on the same corner, same schools, same bills, same broken streetlights. One of them buys the loop. I'll never get out. The other program's a new track. Bigger than this cage. Same environment, different playlists, different future. That's the hidden law. It's not luck. It's not fate. It's alignment. And the elites know it. That's why secret societies guard symbols like weapons. That's why religions chant verses until you hear them in your sleep. That's why politicians burn slogans into your brain until you repeat them without thinking. Because once a thought repeats enough times, it stops being a thought. It becomes reality. But here's the part that flips the whole game on its head. If you can bend your mind, you can bend the world around you. That's the secret buried in every ancient text, every temple, every piece of hidden wisdom. But they've spent centuries training you to forget, convincing you that you're powerless, that you need permission, that reality is fixed. Nah, reality isn't fixed, it's elastic. And your mind is the hand that stretches it. But here's the warning. Once you realize you can DJ your own playlist, the temptation is to copy what everyone else is playing, to blend in, to feel safe. That's the trap. That's the hive wearing a new mask. The real power is choosing your own frequency, even if no one else hears the beat. Because the moment you stop dancing to that track is the moment you remember you were never just a listener. You were always the DJ. So here's the part nobody wants to hear. Even after you break the hive, even after you take back your mind, there's one more illusion standing in your way. The body. Because the mind is powerful, but the body tricks you into thinking it's the whole story. That your reflection in the mirror is who you are. That the job title, the bank balance, the arguments on your feed are the definition of you. But strip all that away and what's left? A consciousness, a frequency, an invisible intelligence that can't be touched but can be trapped if you forget what you really are. And that's why the system never stops feeding you distractions. Wars to keep you afraid. Artificial intelligence to keep you second-guessing reality. Politicians to keep you arguing. Algorithms to keep you scrolling. Because the moment you remember the truth, that you are not the reflection, not the noise, not the loop, the game is over. The ancients called it gnosis. Mystics called it awakening. Freemasons called it light. But all those words point to the same thing, the realization that reality isn't outside you, it's inside. So the question isn't whether the hive mind wins, it's whether you'll keep dancing to its track. Because the final illusion is this, that you're powerless, that you're just one person lost in the noise. But what if the noise was scared of you? What if the hive mind knew that if even a handful of people break the loop, the whole system cracks? That's the real secret. That's why they've kept you distracted your entire life. Because deep down, they're terrified of what happens the moment you remember the beat was always yours. Here's the part most people never stop to ask. Why do you do the things you do? Why do you hear a song on TikTok and suddenly you're humming it like it's yours? Why do you reach for another drink on a Friday night even when you know tomorrow morning you'll regret it? Why do you chase trends, buy what everyone else is buying, argue about politics you'll never touch? Because your universe is mental. Everything is mental. And once a thought is planted, once it loops, your mind obeys without question. The scary part, you think you're choosing, but most of the time, you're just reacting to loops someone else put in your head. Reality doesn't exist out there. It exists inside your mind. Your mind gives perception to what you're experiencing. That's the difference between us and animals. When a dog looks in the mirror, it doesn't know what it's looking at. It doesn't say, "That's me. I need to change. I want to improve." It just reacts. No reflection, no awareness. But you You can look in the mirror and see yourself. You can say, this isn't who I want to be. I can do better. I can change. That's divine consciousness. And here's a raw word trick nobody talks about. Take the N out of divine, and what do you get? Divide. Because humans live with a divided consciousness. 2 tracks playing at once. 1 track is the physical, hunger, fear, survival. The other is awareness, the ability to step back, reflect, say, I'm more than this body, I'm more than this loop. Animals only have 1 track. We have 2, but it's still the same source, the same mind. We're all mind. We're all mental. We all exist within the mental plane. And that's what makes you dangerous. That's why the system keeps you distracted with music that isn't yours, TikTok dances that aren't yours, bottles of alcohol that numb the mind until you forget it's even there. Because the second you remember that everything is mental, that you are not just reacting, you are the one reflecting, the entire illusion begins to collapse. Let me keep it a buck as we wrap this up. Remember this, you are formless. What you see in the mirror, the face, the body, the scars, the labels, that's just the costume. The real you doesn't have edges. It doesn't even have shape. The third dimension, it's not out there. It's in the mind. Your consciousness isn't inside this world. The world exists inside you. The body is just a vehicle, a car you drive in one realm and leave parked when you enter another. Think about your dreams. When you dream, your mind transcends this body. It duplicates you, drops you into another version of yourself in another universe. Universe, universe, one verse, one song. We are all part of the same infinite frequency expressed in countless ways. The body is just the vessel you land in to operate in that realm. But here's the trap. When the mind forgets itself, it gets chained to the body. It mistakes the vehicle for the driver. And when that happens, we live small, distracted lives, addicted to loops, addicted to fake identities, addicted to noise. But separate the layers, mind, body, spirit, and you remember. You remember that the mind is the universe, that you are the universe experiencing itself. I am you, and you are me. One mind, one song, one frequency. Strip off the body, strip off the desires, strip off the fake roles. And what's left? God, not out there, not above you, but here, inside. That's why the ancients said, we are gods in disguise, gods in flesh, but only if the mind remembers itself. Otherwise, the body becomes the cage, and you mistake the cage for the truth. And here's the eerie proof you've lived this all along. Go play an old song, something you haven't heard in years. The moment that chorus hits, your whole body fills with memories, emotions, a flood of thoughts you had back then. Why? Because songs are mental keys, choruses are loops, and those loops don't die. They reprogram the subconscious. They show you how easily the mind can be hijacked. Because the mind and music, they're the same word, the same power. So here's the haunting truth to carry with you. The world you see is not the world. It's the echo of your mind. It's your frequency reflected back. You were never just a body. You were never just a name. You are the formless, infinite mind, dreaming as flesh, forgetting your God until you remember. And when you remember, the game ends.